Before I share this, John Sasha, what do you think of Amazon? They're like the tech leviathan I've read about. They do almost everything. They even have their own physical stores because, well, especially in the West, everyone buys everything from Amazon now. So, what do you think of Amazon and what's the future looking like, in your opinion?
I think I have to be careful if I really share my honest thoughts on Amazon and like the behind the scenes information that they're getting via the media. I'm not sure if it's all correct, of course. But in regards to the online offline stores, it's kind of funny, right? Amazon tried to kill those offline stores, and now they're going back to build like brick and mortar stores, which is rather funny. Um, yeah, the ethical aspects aside, that you always hear that like how Amazon treats the employees is terrible and so on. I can confirm that. I just read the articles and I'm outraged as well, but who knows what's actually really true and what not. From a business point of view, you have to say, well, respect. They seem to do everything right. But what news did you prepare now? I'm curious, like what you want to share.
Because actually, Amazon is not successful in everything. So you've seen they're
Yeah.
successful in commerce, of course. They're successful in films. They won Academy Awards for their films. But there is one thing Amazon can't quite seem to figure out now. One thing that is the gaming market. So, wants to win at games. And actually, this is a big thing now. We're trying to figure out why is it that Amazon can win at so many other things, yet when it comes to making a video game, they haven't quite been able to do it. Last I checked, John Sasha, they haven't released a game. They've canceled
Yeah.
plenty of them. We can talk about the business issues with canceling too many projects like that. But basically, they have not completed a game yet and released it to the public. So, in this article, they're talking a lot about kind of some of the projects that Amazon has done. But kind of let's think about this. Tech Leviathan, it's peanuts. Basically, what they mean by peanuts is, with the amount of money that Amazon has, they can be in this industry for a long time. So they don't have to be that successful. But then the key thing is, and John Sasha, you can chime in here.
Mhm.
What is it what about kind of doing these different media projects? What do we have to keep in mind here? Because why is it that Amazon is so good at making films, but yet can't seem to make a proper video game that can sell, despite the fact that they have so much money to spend on this? What do you think some of the issues are at play here?
That's a good question. I mean, we could talk about obvious issues that I would bring up with every other company, to be honest. Like if you try to do too many things, you can focus on actually being good at certain things. So if your focus wanders from A to B to C and so on, then you might not succeed in either of the tasks at hand. But when talking about Amazon, with all the money that they have, I simply would assume right now, and I haven't read the article, I'm curious to read it later. Um, I would assume they throw all the money, or they throw a lot of money at the problem, and yet it doesn't work, which is surprising, which means maybe they just don't understand how gaming works. But shouldn't they have enough money to get the right people on board, though?
I guess that leads to another interesting question because actually that was a great segue. Because from this report, the article actually
Yeah.
reports that the employees were not happy. They said that the core gameplay that they were working on was confusing. They didn't really know what they were supposed to be doing. It was stressful to be working there. So I guess one of the key things that we have to keep in mind here is who are they hiring? And I think that one of the key points that we have to also remember here is the fact that just because you have money doesn't mean that you're going to be wisely spending it. Because when it comes down to it, it looks like they invested in the wrong leaders, at least what it looks like. So that leads to a key question. How should we go about recruitment? Because recruitment is something that a lot of people sometimes take for granted. And I think in this case, Amazon seems to have taken for granted the leadership that they have to kind of bring in
Yes.
here. but it seems like something that is greatly overlooked in many cases. So, why do you think that is? Like, we know so much about recruitment. We have so many KPIs now. We have so many articles and books about proper management. Why is it that this can still be such a hard concept for many people to kind of master here?
Yeah, that's a great question. And just to add a little bit, and I'm not going to add exact details, but I know of a few people who work for and with Amazon, and they all share the sentiment that is in the article, which is they're not necessarily that excited about it. And that just shows that even if you throw money at them because they work in not in the warehouse, they work in like higher positions and the earning is all right, but they're still not happy, which then leads to the point that you said, the leadership. And I think one of the issues is that probably the people in charge, like in leadership roles, they don't want to accept that maybe they're not perfect, they're not awesome. That I think that starts at the very top in many of those companies, like be it Amazon, be it Tesla, whatever, like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and so on. They say, "Hey, I built this thing from the ground up. How dare you gonna tell me I'm not a good leader?" I say what's happening. I work hard. I work my butt off. You do the same. And I think this just trickles down then to like at the end to the staff that can't pass it on to anyone else. And I think that's a big issue. It's simply the hierarchy, the how the company is set up, and I think that's a big issue.
I think that one other thing is between the film and the game industry. One interesting thing, I think, the film industry, we know who the best producers are. Yeah, we talk a lot about them all the time. Amazon knew this. That's how Amazon was able to, I think, work with Matt Damon and a couple of other really big, high profile actors and actresses and directors because we know who the key
Mhm.
players are in the film industry. You don't see many news articles, though, about the key game developers, though, do you? As a key thing.
Not that public maybe, or not that mainstream. Yeah, I think you really have to dive into details and be part of the community to know like who's like lead developer. Um, yeah, for example, I watched like our competitor Joe Rogan, and he had like the developer of Doom on once. And of course, I mean, I know the game, I didn't know the guy who developed it. I'm like, oh, right, no one knows the guy unless you're in that industry and in the community. So I think what you say is a big issue for Amazon. They're like, hey, here, money says we need some game developers, take it, but then they just hire whoever's free right now, put them together and like do magic, and it doesn't work.
Especially in the game industry, because it's not
Yeah,
just about filming. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. We have to make sure the game is actually fun. So even though the story element is important, as in film, you have to make sure the gameplay part also matches up. And I think that that's something that Amazon may have underestimated. I get the sense Amazon is focused more on these multiplayer games that can make a lot of money because of subscription fees, but also don't really work if the gameplay aspect is not there. So let's check out if Amazon can eventually figure this out. But I think they're finally starting to realize you can't throw money anymore at something, especially in games, because that's not how you make great games.